I can't be causing that. DI doesn't talk to my audio. Ah.
Okay, folks, we are live, but Allison's got some problems. So she's restarting her machine. So if you could bear with us for a bit, I'd appreciate it. Let me mute myself in these other locations because I'm hearing myself twice. All right. She should be with us shortly. She's down a little bit right now. So I hope you all had a good couple of weeks without us around. We missed you on the live show, but we had a good time in Chile. It was a pretty nice trip, including the total solar eclipse. Had fantastic weather, I might add. It was arranged perfectly too. The UCLA alumni group came out just. I'm getting some weird feedback. Hold on a sec. Okay, that's yeah. I'm hearing your audio, but I don't see any video. Okay, let me. You know, I still have Discord audio on. Now I can't hear you. If you still hear me, Allison. Okay, so as I was saying, the eclipse in Chile was fantastic. He sounds great. Her here. Weather was perfect. It was about like low to mid 70s, a little bit of wind. It was kind of interesting because this eclipse was late in the day, very close to sunset. Maybe I think totality ended about 40 minutes or so before sunset. So we had some unique things, including a partially eclipsed sun that was setting. Oh, I think Allison's coming back. There she is. At least I see video. She'll be there, folks. Hold on. And so, can peeps see my messages? Yes, hey, we can see that. Still no audio from Allison, but I'm sure she's working on it. I'm getting a thumbs up. A double thumbs up. There we go. Got your audio.
Can you hear me? But I can't hear me. 1 second.
We can
And that's one component. Let me get into here. And then I know I haven't done my camera yet, by the way.
That's all right. It's nice seeing you totally blown out, but you are really slow. I hope the
You are really crackly.
shoot something's happened to the stream here.
Yeah.
Am I crackly, Sandy? Is my audio crackly, or is it just Allison? No.
Yes. Oh,
not
you
Steve.
sound. Oh, interesting.
Just Allison.
I hear Steve really crackly.
And you are really stuttering in the video. You're like every fifth frame or so. So something's going on with your. Is your CPU overloaded right now?
I every mess. I'm I can barely understand you, Steve. I know you're hearing crackling from me, and so is everybody else. Something else is. Okay, what is going on? Something's chewing my CPU. So it's me. Set app. Well, okay. I'll quit you. iStep menus, Wunderlist helper. All my menu bar apps are. Can you even hear? Oh, you can't even hear me.
No, I can hear you.
Oh, you can.
I
Okay.
can hear you fine. I'm listening on.
Video is frozen. Well, this is good.
So your video is fine for me, Allison, and your audio is fine on Mimo. It seems
Oh,
to
really?
be it's getting better from whatever you did. Whatever you did has improved things. I'm getting continuous.
Okay,
I'm getting continuous video and good audio on Mimo now.
Wow.
So it may just be Discord that's got bad audio. I don't know, because I'm not listening.
I'm trying to get into kill the audio in. Actually, you know what it appears to be? Might be this. My
They're saying it's okay on Discord now.
Okay, I'm hearing you. I just got better. Okay, I just unplugged my. I'm not even in live show listen. Oh, I am. Okay, hang on. Let me kill your audio in Discord, because I'm definitely hearing it twice there. So output device, I want to be my mic. There we go. Okay. Do I sound better now?
Yes. Your video's blown out, but your audio's fine.
Okay. You sound good to me now. And let's go back to that one. There.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see if I can get Luna Display to work again. Ignore. Ah, wow. I think I tried to get into, I tried to start everything too quickly.
Mm-hmm. Probably overloaded your CPU. It sounded like you were bird
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah, so all of my, no, crud. Well, I'm not going to be able to type much in, I can't get Luna Display to work. So I could. Oh, yeah. I could do this. Okay, so I can watch the chat, and then hide. Oh, this will work. So I'm in twice. I'm going to watch. My audio is coming through Discord on the Mac, but if I type anything, I'm going to be doing it native on the iPad. I think that's the way you do it, is you do two versions, right, Steve?
Let me test something.
Yeah, you sound quiet to me now.
Your voice,
but that's fine.
Your voice is lagging now. We're starting to get that separation.
Oh, good.
I hope that doesn't build up. Is my voice
based on past performance? It usually does. Talk to me, Steve.
This is Steve talking. 1, 2, 3, and
your video looks good to me.
In sync.
Yeah. John says your audio is very quiet in YouTube.
In YouTube. Okay. Well, let me fix that.
Okay. No shortage of devices. Yeah, the way I use the iPad normally is tough.
How about this? Is this better audio up at this level?
It's a little bit better.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
All right. I should open. Okay, so we are 9 minutes into the show. I don't think I have time for roll call. We are today, and I think we should start. What do you think?
Yeah, let's get going. Let's do this.
Please. I've got my Apollo 11 shirt on. That was a big excitement. There we go.
I was telling John about Apollo 11, the live immersive experience. Although I don't think he was in the live show listen, but maybe he's listening on YouTube now. Okay,
but we should probably kick into the show.
Let's do
that. Okay. Here we go. I haven't done a test recording. Let me do a test recording. Arm that. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. Okay. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the Wow. That's not good. Why is my audio input? Ah, that's why. That's weird. Okay, let's try that again. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast. Still too low.
Sounded fine here.
Yeah, it's too low. Do it at 4, which is what it's been wanting to update to. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. Okay, there we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan. There we go. Okay, now I'm happy. Now I'm going to start. Here we go. Muting yourself, Steve. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, July 14th, 2019, and this is show number 740. Well, Steve and I are back from our Chilean eclipse adventure, and I'd like to start the show by giving my heartfelt thanks to Alistair and Bart for providing you such great content while we were gone. I love a good streak, and I'm super proud that we've had the NosillaCast come out every single week for over 14 years without a single miss. Bart and Alistair are a huge part of why this is true. But more importantly, I love their shows. I got to tell you, it's really fun to sit back and relax and listen to such great voices provide fascinating content. I want to start with what I loved about Bart's show. I really appreciate that Joe Duganzik provided his excellent review of the cycle wing lights, especially on a show where cyclist Bart was hosting. That was a perfect matchup, especially since much of the year Bart is forced to ride his bicycle in the nighttime because of the latitude of Ireland. I was absolutely delighted to finally hear Wing's voice on the show, or as Bart affectionately refers to him, his darling beloved. I really enjoyed the cadence of Wing's delivery, the ups and downs of the story he told, the history of even coming to the iPhone in the first place from his beloved Nokia, and of course, the glowing review of the Powerbeats 3 headphones. I'm humbled by Bart's continued insistence that I'm an important part of his Security Bits segments. You and I both know it's like 87.8% Bart and 2.2% me, but he is adamant that I add value to it beyond what I realize. I will graciously accept his point of view out loud, but I'm sure I will never truly believe it. Thank you, Bart, for all that you do. Now, I'd like to talk about Alistair's show too, but I have to start by addressing the problem that happened, and that's the awful honking noise that occurred during Sandy's amazing review of the Airfly. You may or may not have heard this problem, as when I heard it, Sandy, Alistair, and I worked together to push out a version to the feed that fixed the problem. So let me characterize the sound and then tell you what we think happened. Okay, got to do a chapter mark here called, what is that digital honk?
So 2 things.
Yes, I'm not sharing my video with NDI, am I?
Correct. And Alistair just joined us. Good timing.
Oh, yay! Alistair, just in time. So let's see, file. I did it the first time. And by the way, my audio appears to be staying still. So Rick, if you're keeping notes, or Sandy, or Kevin, restarting my Mac seems to be the thing that stops it from, well, no, I'm not running Discord over the, on the, well, I don't know what fixed it. Might have been restarting.
Oh,
Uh,
Alice is telling us about a typo that he wants us to fix. We
uh-oh.
can do that. We can do that. Item 4 should say EQ.
Item 4 should say EQ. What did I say? What did I write instead, Alistair? Oh, type to him, would you? Because I can't type. I need to keep going. Steve, can you type to him, or can somebody type to him? What word do I need to replace with EQ? Because I am just about to read that.
Item 4.
What did I write? Why is that sound
Item
coming out
4
over there?
says. Wait, item 4 does say EQ. Turn the EQ off before export and does produce the honking. So I don't see the problem. Alistair? Oh, he's not in listen. Okay, I'll type to him.
I'm asking him too if he can get in live show listen. So I'm about to pull up that story. That's good timing for him to come in. Item 4 says...
Item 4 says left the surround sound version with 4 tracks and turned the...
Oh, it should be on, is what he's saying.
Oh,
I got it.
Okay.
It's
Not
the main
off.
point of the story.
Not off. Go, okay. Thank you. Actually, Sandy said it. John said it.
Oh, he
We're just a
emailed
little
about
bit
Sex of
slow.
Frank. Okay. Wow. Talk about up to the
good timing.
Good. Yeah. Is he in? No, he isn't in there.
He's not
type
in
good
live
timing
show
to him. He is?
He's not.
Yeah. Well, can you type it to him to say good timing? Tell him we got there in time.
Something
okay.
Sound is gone. I'm not sure what's happening. Hey, is that everyone else hearing us okay? Troy. Joined us.
Okay, Sandy's phone is fine. Okay, I need you to mute yourself. Frost yourself. Okay. Okay, here we go. Come on. Come on. Unbeknownst to me, Sandy made her recording for Alistair several times using QuickTime, but kept getting a hiss on the recording. After a couple of tries re-recording, Alistair decided to attempt to eliminate the hiss from within Apple's Logic software that he used to mix all the tracks together. He used a built-in equalizer and brought down the frequency of the hiss. He sampled the audio in Logic and it sounded good. But for some reason, on export, it caused one of the weirdest sound effects I have ever heard in all my years of recording. There was no problem for the first few minutes of Sandy's recording, but starting at 2 minutes and 13 seconds into her recording, you hear this slight, quiet, short honk. It happens every 3 seconds. The honk gets louder and slightly longer. Here's one of the earliest honks that you can hear. Okay, I also have to something is my audio output is going to my internal speakers. So every time somebody comes in and out, it's coming out of my Mac.
Just lost your audio, Al. No audio. Yeah, she's in Discord, but not Mimo, Sandy. Mimo counts because that's what's being going on video. You're listening on Discord, but on Mimo she's not coming through, which is the video. You are all saying you can hear her, but that's only Discord. She's not coming through on Mimo, which is the problem, not Discord.
I didn't change anything on Mimo. So the fact that I'm coming through on Discord is important information. I didn't touch Mimo.
Okay, so we need to restart your connection, I think.
You want me to refresh?
Let me try it here.
Steve is restarting. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now you're coming through.
Okay. All right. So this is great. What else could go wrong? Okay. So now I've got to go find the honking file. So this is going to be the short honk. Oh, wow.
Short honk.
That's going to be hard to place. Yes, the short honk. Yeah, I'm going to play this just real short. Okay, that you can hear. I bet you didn't barely hear that. Let me play it again. Okay, short honk. Okay, so listen to this tiny little honk. Here. I bet you didn't barely hear that. Let me play it again.
Huh. That was my best
Nice.
impression.
Nice, Steve.
Was that like a Canadian goose?
Yeah. Okay. It's
that
Canada
from,
goose.
Oh, not Canadian. Oh.
Yeah.
Have you been corrected by Stephen Getz by chance?
Yeah. All the time.
That
and
was
with Mike
from,
in here,
that
we can't afford it.
That joke was from Mike, yes.
Okay, mute yourself, please. All right, you must have heard it the second time. But you'll definitely hear this. By the end of Sandy's recording, the honk is over 1 second long and completely overwhelms her voice. Let me play that for you now. Wait a minute. I guess I can do this one. Listen to this one. Play that for you now. Did you have any trouble hearing that one? Let me play it for you again. Steve's answering me real time. This is fun. Again. Okay. All right. So this is the kind of thing I simply have to figure out what caused this. I have to know what caused it because we can only make sure it never happens again if we know how it happened. Working with Sandy and Alistair on this, I want to point out how amazing it was that there was no finger pointing and no anger between anybody about this. Sandy had to have been discouraged that after all her hard work, the recording was ruined. Alistair has a very high bar for quality of audio, higher than mine actually, and I'm sure he was disappointed that it happened as well. But they were both helpful and seemed to be interested in finding the root cause. Perhaps maybe not as crazy as I am about getting to the root cause, but still very interested. Alistair went back into Logic and did a couple of experiments in parallel with some testing that I did. Sandy's original content was an uncompressed AIFC file. When I opened it in Rogue Amoeba's Fission product, the audio waveform looks normal and it sounded great. That's her original recording. But then I thought, maybe I'll open it up and see if I can easily remove the hiss using the open source tool Audacity. Many, many, many years ago, so far back that my screenshots show the Aqua interface of Mac OS X, I wrote a tutorial called How to Remove Noise with Audacity. This tutorial is in the top 5 most visited pages on all of podfeet.com. In fact, I reread my tutorial myself often because it's not super intuitive how to do it, but once you read the instructions, it's super easy to execute these steps. When I opened Sandy's original AIFC recording in Audacity, I discovered something very curious. Somehow, QuickTime had not recorded mono, it had not recorded regular stereo. It had recorded 4-channel stereo. Essentially, it was a surround sound recording from a single input. I wrote to Alistair about my discovery. I also sent him a lovely hiss-free mono recording of Sandy to show off my noise removal skills from my tutorial. Not to show off, but to give him a tool for later use. And I sent him a link to my tutorial. This got Alistair going on some new experiments. He ran 4 tests using Logic. The first one, he removed the 3rd and 4th versions of Sandy's recording, leaving only a stereo version, and turned the EQ off. And the exported file had no honking. Okay, so far so good. Then he removed the 3rd and 4th versions, leaving only the stereo version, and he turned the EQ on. There's no honking. So the stereo version, with or without the EQ, doesn't make a difference. There's no honking. Then he left the surround sound version with all 4 tracks and turned the EQ off before export. Still, there's no honking. Finally, he did what he did in the original recording. He left surround sound version with all 4 tracks, turned the EQ on before export, and that does produce the honking. So it appears from the data we've been able to collect so far that a perfect storm occurred. Only the odd 4-channel version of Sandy's recording pulled into Logic and with the EQ applied will cause this digital honking. Now, Sandy and Alistair really enjoyed pointing out that every bit of the tools, 100% of the tools involved in the creation, manipulation, and production of this file were made by Apple. All of the hardware and all of the software. I got to tell you, I can't let this go yet. I need to know why this is happening. I've sent the files and what we know about them to a gentleman named Paul Figiani, who's the most knowledgeable. Dagnabbit. Hang on. I had looked up Paul Figiani's website and I had edited that file and I overwrote it just now, I think. One moment. Paul Figiani. Nicest guy in the world, too. He actually already answered me, but I screwed up. Produce new media. New Mac. Who's the most. Paul Figiani. I've sent the. I've sent the files to Paul Figiani of Produce New Media. He's the most knowledgeable and most helpful audiophile I have ever met. He's the one who taught me about Auphonic, which allows me to create podcasts every week that meet the loudness standard for podcasting and have beautifully leveled audio. So you should like him too. I'll definitely update the blog post and the podcast when I hear back from Paul, but for now, I'll leave you with one really funny thing. Oh, dagnabbit. There's another chunk missing. I hate it when I get version control problems. Let me see if it's in here. Maybe it's in this one. Nope, it's gone. Dagnabbit. I had edited the file. Dang it. Okay. I'm going to use a screenshot here. I'm going to have to pull. Now I've wrecked the file. I'm missing a piece. No, that's not it. There it is. Okay. But for now, boy, everything's going wrong tonight. I'll definitely update. Should like him too. Okay, it's got to be off the top of my head. Here we go. I also dug into part of the problem from Sandy's point of view, and I think I found the answer to what was going wrong, at least from her input file. We talked about it being a 4-channel stereo audio recording, which makes no sense when you're a single person sitting in front of a single mic. There's a little file called, or an application called Audio MIDI Setup. It's in your application folder, utilities folder. I don't know why this thing goes bad on its own, but it does. Remember when I was doing my test recording with the Zoom H4n Pro and I got the audio, my audio recordings were this real high pitched voice. And I told you about that program then because it turned out it had chosen 48 kilohertz instead of 44.1 kilohertz in audio MIDI setup. Anyway, I had Sandy take a look at her audio MIDI setup, and sure enough, the built-in microphone was set to 4-channel, 24-bit integer, 44.1 kilohertz. That really should be 2-channel at most, stereo, and it should be 16-bit integer. So I had her change that setting, so hopefully that will never happen again. And if it was a stereo file and then Alistair applied his EQ, we should be fine in the future. Anyway, back to the thing about Paul. I will update the blog post and the podcast when I hear back from Paul. But for now, I'm going to leave you with one really funny thing. After I sent my tutorial on noise removal using Audacity to Alistair, he sent me this message. And I'm quoting. After listening to the latest Mac power users, I decided I would revisit using Safari's reading list function. Upon opening it, I already had a bunch of stuff saved to read, so I went back to the start. There, amongst the Mavericks tips and iOS 7 reviews, was a post on podfeet.com about removing noise from audio using Audacity. So I had intended to read it, and now I have. Okay.
The audacity.
What have I missed, Steve?
Well,
yeah, now I gotta rewrite all that.
So
what?
let's see. So I think the funniest
Oh.
What? Let me see if I can recover it. Brett said when you played one of those honks,
Yeah.
Brett types in, it sounds like Sandy is being bleeped for swearing. And of course, we all launched into how often Sandy swears, and we have to correct for it. That
Oh,
was
you know how she is. Swears
yeah.
like a sailor, right?
Well, potty mouth Sandy, surround sound potty mouth.
Okay, that's good stuff.
Brett was unkind to me.
Oh, I like it. Brett was unkind to me. Uh-oh. See, they know when I'm recording and I can't talk, Sandy.
Yeah.
This isn't good. All right. Well, that was a struggle.
So we are
Okay,
out of
so
sync
I'm going to
again.
have to figure out how to fix it.
Our
We are?
audio and video has gone out of sync again on YouTube Live and Podfeet. So there is
Okay.
something going on systemic with YouTube Live that I'm not sure if it's the interface between Mimo and YouTube Live, or YouTube Live is not being supported as well as it used to be. We may want to consider another.
So should we change to Twitch next week?
Well, that's what Tom did, right?
Yeah, Tom switched to
And
Twitch.
it looks like they're
Let's make some serious sausage.
Yeah, it looks like they're phasing it out. It's not supported like it used to be. Yeah, we're about a second.
Maybe.
John says we're about a second delay now.
Let me see. Talk to me.
Testing. Well, it's. I don't think you're going to see it. This is what's
Yes.
broadcast
No, I
on
can
YouTube.
see it.
Oh,
yes,
you
I can.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I can. Yeah, it's definitely out of sync. I look great though.
If you don't say so yourself.
To me. Well, there's that too. Plus, my audio is in sync. Okay. I got to keep going here.
Move on. We're up to chit chat next.
I'm still going in this same section.
All right.
No.
I don't see
I've
what
got a
you're
lot more
talking
to go.
about here. Wait, in the same blog post?
So go right after what caused that digital. Wow, you just got much louder. That was weird. Go back to the main post. It starts with, I can tell you one more thing.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, mute yourself, please. Okay, here we go. I can tell you one more thing. If you had followed me on Twitter at Podfeet, or were a member of our Slack group at podfeet.com/Slack, or were a member of our Facebook community at podfeet.com/Facebook, or were signed up to get the Podfeet Press newsletter at podfeet.com/podfeetpress, you would have been notified really soon after the show was produced that a new version was available with Sandy's lovely voice with no honking whatsoever. Now, after all that, I want to thank Alistair for his GTA car kit review and his Pixelmator Pro review that caused me to spend $5 on an iPad app. The glitch.com review from Caleb highlighted a programming tool that has become indispensable to me in the last 2 weeks. To refresh your memory, Glitch allows you to post code and run it on the web in a free account. Just this week, Bart was trying to help untangle my brain on how to write mustache templates, and we just jumped on glitch.com and I got to watch him write code real time. As he wrote the code, Glitch showed the web view of what he was doing. It was a fantastic way for me to learn. Dorothy and I have also been using it as a way to test the games we've written in Programming by Stealth as viewed on iOS. Fantastic clip, Caleb. And then Alistair's description of how he creates web versions of his photos while on travel, making a backup along the way, and then using his Mac at home using Hazel to process the photos using Retro Batch. That was pure genius. I loved every minute of it. So once more, my heartfelt thanks to Bart and Alistair and the NosillaCastaways who lent a hand to make their jobs easier. I couldn't have been happier. Well, okay, without the digital honking, I guess I would have been a little bit happier. Yes, I should do a chapter marker. Yeah.
Good job, Wingman.
I guess I'll do one here.
Seems like a good place.
It was an easier way to do this. Huh? Oh, yeah. But I'm going to have to do 2 of them.
Yeah.
So this would be okay. 6.
More the merrier.
Yeah, no, it's a pain. All right. Mute yourself, please. I've got 2 Chit Chat Across the Ponds to catch you up on. The day I got back from our Chilean vacation, I published Chit Chat Across the Pond number 601 featuring Dr. Marianne Gary, self-proclaimed crusher of dreams. This time she's back to tell us about how she thinks science is broken. She makes that statement based on her concerns about how papers are chosen for what she calls saw your arm off publications, those publications that are the pinnacle of publication. As always, she backs up her points with lots of research and facts because she's funny that way. You can find this dream crushing episode in the Chit Chat Across the Pond light feed in your podcatcher of choice or listen via the link on podfeed.com. And another chapter marker. This is, what was that? Sounded like a digital honk. CCATP, PBS 81. Now you sound like, what is it called? Louisiana, right?
Yeah. Harlan.
Best in Show.
Best in Show. Harlan, the guy that with the
yes. Harlan Pepper.
Harlan Pepper.
Hound Dog.
Best in Show. If you haven't seen that movie, folks, I think it's Coen. Is it the Coen Brothers?
Go rent.
No, that's not Coen Brothers. That's
No. It's it's what's his name? Okay, yeah. I have to keep going, Steve. I barely started the show.
Don't stop.
Honk yourself. I started to say. Okay. This weekend, we have another installment of Programming by Stealth, where Bart Busschots taught us more about promises, this time with a capital P. Capital P promises are designed to solve the problem of an API that requires a promise as an input, but your code already has the value you want to provide, so you don't have a promise. Now, that sounds funny, but it makes sense in Bart's description. After that, he shows us how we can control parallelization of promises using promise.all with a capital P. It's a very sensible lesson and not brain bendy at all, even though I've done kind of a brain bendy way of describing it. Anyway, look in your podcatcher of choice for Chit Chat Across the Pond number 602 under the Programming by Stealth feed, or listen via the link on podfeed.com. Okay. Another chapter marker. PBS 81. 1. There we go. Now it's another chapter marker because Steve demands it. Oh, geez. I'm at 12 minutes. We're in trouble.
12 minutes to what?
Of recording so far.
Huh?
We're doomed. You guys are going to be here till like 8 tonight.
You're at 12 minutes. Did you say 12?
I have only recorded 12 minutes of audio. 12.
Really? It seems like 45.
What can't you understand?
It just seems...
I know. That's what I'm worried about.
It's a time dilation effect here going on. It's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Okay.
Nice, Andy. All right. Should I mute?
Well, I'm not sure we have that. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Where's my dumb question corner music?
Yes, we did. My question? Excellent Caminera. It's some of the best.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
All right. Muting?
Steve?
Muting.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Podfeed.com.
It's time for Dumb Question Corner.
Well, this week, Steve Davidson sent in our great dumb question. I define great as clearly explained without an obvious answer, and yet I eventually figure it out. Here's Steve's question. Hi, Allison, I have a stumper for you. Using my iPad, I frequently find myself putting together a document by drawing information from multiple sources, like planning a vacation by copy and pasting information from various websites. More often than not, unless I jump through hoops, the end product looks like a ransom note with different font sizes, line spacing, fragments of a table, etc. I find this happens using Apple Notes, Microsoft OneNote, Pages, etc. There are a few tools that strip away formatting when pasting in content, Notability, for example, but it is hit or miss with most applications. And there are reasons like sharing and collaboration for using OneNote or Notes. You can't use Notability for everything. On the Mac, you can always paste without or match style or paste as plain text by using the Command Shift Option V combination key or select it from the edit menu. But I have yet to find a means of pasting just plain text into the Target app on iOS. Is there a way to do this very obvious thing? I suspect a lot of people have the same question, which makes it a good candidate for Dumb Question Corner. What do you think? Well, I love Steve's description of his notes looking like a ransom note with all the changes in formatting. That really explains what a problem this can be, and we can all picture it. With many people, I assume they just didn't try the obvious things, like, I don't know, try a long hold with a finger to change what pasting options there are. But Steve is a reasonably bright fellow. And of course, none of my obvious solution attempts panned out. I did some of the Googles and I found a solution that didn't work very well, but after a bit of tweaking, I was able to improve on it. The idea is to use Siri shortcuts to perform the task. I guess they're called shortcuts now, but it doesn't seem obvious if you don't say it. Anyway, there are three simple steps to my shortcut. Get cle- sorry, get clipboard, get text from input, copy to clipboard. Now, it sounds funny to get the contents of the clipboard and then turn around and copy the contents right back to the clipboard, but it's that middle step that does the magic. Shortcuts includes many options to make plain text into rich text or make plain text or rich text into Markdown or HTML, but there is no option to take rich text and turn it into plain text, which is what we want. It turns out that get text from input does strip out the formatting, but that isn't explicitly explained in the documentation that'll provide this function. Once these three simple steps are assembled, we can choose from three different ways to implement our shortcut. Entering settings for a given shortcut is done via a non-standard icon on the screen. It looks like two toggle switches flipped in the opposite directions. Once you find it, you can toggle on the options to show the shortcut in widgets and in the share sheet. Now, you can also actually. Mm, 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 mm. You can also set a Siri phrase. If you tap this option in settings, you'll be invited to record a phrase, which you can then later use to invoke the shortcut. I played around with all three of these options: widget, share sheet, and Siri. Siri works pretty well, surprisingly. To initiate the shortcut via Siri, select and copy the text you want to copy, activate Siri, and say your Siri phrase. She'll tell you when she's done, and then you need to swipe away to get to the app where you want to paste. It's pretty easy. I recorded 3 little videos to demonstrate each of these methods, by the way, and they're in the show notes. In the first one using Siri, the recording function built into iOS doesn't record while Siri is being invoked, so you'll see a moment of silence or hear a moment of silence during the good part where she does recognize my voice. Interestingly, in my test, Siri never failed to understand what I was telling her. I can only assume it's because I was the one who recorded the phrase, so she didn't have like interpretation to do. Even with a high success rate for this method, a lot of people don't like talking to the devices. You might also need this function during meetings or in social situations where talking to your phone would be inappropriate. The widgets method works okay, but it's actually my least favorite of the options. Maybe if I use widgets more often, it would become second nature, but I can never seem to find widgets. After copying the text on an iPhone 10 or 10s, I forget what it's like on the other phones, you swipe down from the top left and you'll see your notifications. At this point, I always incorrectly swipe on that screen and it opens the notification my finger slid across. I have to do it a second time, stare at the screen for a while, and then remember that you swipe left to right across this time. Across the time to get to widgets. So you can't swipe on a notification. You have to swipe on the time to get over to widgets. Then, if you have a lot of widgets, you have to scroll through them till you get to your shortcuts and tap on the correct one. Then swipe up to get out of widgets. And finally, you can now paste your text. That is a lot of swiping. Now, by this time, some of you are yelling at your devices. I can hear you. I only figured out while I was testing this, accidentally while I was doing something else, that if you simply swipe left to right on the home screen, that gets you directly to widgets. So I might try widgets again, but it's still a lot of swiping around. The share sheet option requires the fewest number of separate steps. Select the text and copy it, tap the share sheet icon, tap shortcuts, tap the newly created shortcut, and then paste in your chosen location. So that's only 3 more taps than a single copy and paste, and there's no swiping at all. As usual, I've made this much more complicated than necessary by over-explaining it, so let me summarize. To copy and paste plain text, create a 3-step shortcut, add it to the share sheet. Might even be easier than remembering the Command-Shift-Option-V to paste special on the Mac. Okay. You're allowed to talk, Steve. Steve's not listening to me. Did he leave? He's there, but he's not talking. Somebody tell him to talk to me.
You done with that blog post?
I'm done with that piece.
Oh, it didn't sound like it had an ending.
It was a short one.
All right. I'm just used to tones.
I'm sorry. I could go try to be more dramatic. What did I say? You have no idea, do you?
It was something about a dumb question.
Thanks, dear. You are the worst of the people listening.
No. Well, it's because I have all this work to do.
Yes. Oh, really? You hard at work, are you? Got a lot going on?
Yeah.
All right.
I had to start the barbecue.
Oh, this is long. Jeez. Okay. Steve, you better mute yourself.
Oh,
Did you? Okay.
Is this tech travel?
All right. Tech and travel. This is
boy.
long. Go take a nap.
Yeah, everyone, if you want a potty break, now's the time. I'm muting.
Okay. Go away. Bye. Thank you. Whenever I go on one of our big adventures, I learn something new about the tech I want to use on travel and how to get it to work the best for me. Might not be as cool as the stories that Alistair told, but I still really enjoy talking on this topic. It's an evolving story that I think is helpful to document. This isn't one nice, cohesive explanation, but rather a list of disparate items that affect how to attack the problems of tech on a big trip. This year's trip was to Chile to see a total eclipse of the sun. While in Chile, we toured 3 major telescope facilities and traveled from the shore to the middle of the Atacama Desert to a mountain at 16,500 feet. In order to achieve this task, we took 7 plane flights, stayed in 4 different hotels, spent 2 nights on planes, and rode 1,219 miles on a tour bus. Before we embark on an adventure of this magnitude and complexity, I like to make a diagram of the trip. We usually have a nicely written multi-page description of the trip, but a diagram gives us situational awareness at a glance. Where are we on this trip? What's our next flight? It's all on one page. You may think me anal, and I probably am, but it is ever so helpful on the trip to know just what's about to happen and when. Back in August of 2016, I told you about an amazing web app called Draw.io at Draw.io. That's it, Draw.io. Everything good's at IO. Anyway, think OmniGraffle with fewer features, but completely free of cost. It doesn't work well on Safari, but it's not half bad on Chrome. The app allows you to drop in rectangles and other shapes, other graphics, and most importantly, lines with arrows that magnetically connect the blocks of information. I settled a long time ago on rounded rectangles with a nice gradient blue for the city names, bright yellow rectangles containing the hotel information, bright green rectangles with white text that ride on the arrowed lines for the flight numbers and dates, and this year I added salmon-colored rectangles for the daily excursions. One of the most important features of the diagrams is the red sequential numbers I place along the lines so you can follow along on the trip. On each arrowed line, I not only put in the green flight info and the red numbers, I also put times and dates if there are flights on that line. I remember when we flew into Tahiti after being in New Zealand and crossed the international date line, that date on the line actually kept us from booking the wrong night at a hotel in Tahiti. As I'm building up the diagram, I often realize I've not left enough room for some information, or it's too crowded in one spot, or perhaps the location on the diagram doesn't represent the direction of travel as well as it could. Now, if you're careful when creating the connecting lines in Draw.io, they will be magnetically attached to the boxes. That means you can drag the boxes around on screen and the arrows will mostly follow along and keep their flight numbers and sequence numbers and dates attached. It's not perfect and it does take some fiddling around, but with some practice, I've gotten pretty good at it. I have to say, this is the same thing that's a little fiddly in OmniGraffle as well. On this trip, I whipped out my diagram about 30 times, and I was happy every time that I had it available. I printed it out and put it in a lovely plastic sleeve, but I also put it in Google Drive and marked it for offline viewing. A few people on our tour seemed to think that it was cool, or at least humored me when I showed it to them. On one of the early small plane flights, I ran into a couple of doctors who were on parallel trip tours with us, but from one of the big Ivy League schools, and they loved it. I don't know if I mentioned we were traveling with UCLA alumni, so it's still a pretty cool school. Anyway, these doctors from this Ivy League school didn't just say that they loved it to shut me up on the plane flight either. The woman wrote down draw.io in a notebook when I told her about it. Then, near the end of the trip, I ran into them again, and the woman doctor introduced me to a friend of hers and said, "Oh, this is the woman that made that awesome trip diagram I was telling you about." So there, they really did think it was cool. I got to tell you, I even used draw.io to diagram our Christmas holiday adventures. We have 6 adults, 1 baby, 3 dogs, and 2 cats that have to be accounted for. And we have quite a juggle to make sure that everyone's family and in laws' families get some portions of everyone's time. It's really quite hilarious that we require this level of effort. But the diagram did once reveal that Lindsay's dog Dodger was driving himself to wine country if we didn't take him into account correctly. If you do any kind of complex trips, I highly recommend draw.io for making a diagram. When we went to the Galapagos in Ecuador and Machu Picchu in Peru, we discovered because of my diagram that our travel agent had neglected to actually book 2 of our flights in those countries. Well, 2 camera items really paid off on this trip. I carry my iPhone, of course, but I also travel with my big girl camera, an Olympus EM5 Mark II. For the very first time ever, I remembered to go into the camera settings and change the time on that camera. You see, in Apple Photos, images are sorted by the date and time they were taken. So without doing this ahead of time, my Olympus photos and my iPhone photos would not be sequentially next to each other in the right time order. I am very pleased with my little self that I remembered it because this is the first time ever that I've remembered to do it before I left. This time, I even remembered to change it back when I got home. The second camera related item is something I cannot take credit for. Credit goes to my friend Diane. A few years ago, we went on a trip to Yellowstone and Grand Teton. In preparation for the trip, she bought a pair of plastic rain covers for big girl cameras because she was worried there might be rain. And she was right. She gave one to me. These rain covers are essentially a big plastic sleeve with both ends open. You slide the plastic sleeve over the camera, and on the end where the lens is, there's a small drawstring that allows you to pull it tight around the end of the lens. And that allows you to actually take photos, but the lens is the only thing exposed. The other end of the sleeve has a much larger opening, which allows you to get your hand and your arm inside to manipulate the camera. And so you can even pull out the zoom and hit the shutter. I keep my rain cover folded up neatly in my camera bag, but that bag is too bulky to go on travel with me. In a stroke of genius, I pulled the rain cover out and put it in my backpack before we left. At one point on the tour, we went out in 14-foot fishing boats in very high seas to Isla Choros and Isla Damas to see the local wildlife. Many of the jolly travelers got soaked with waves. Now, my new EM5 is actually water resistant, but my lens is definitely not. I was fairly shielded from those big waves, but the amount of spray could have easily destroyed my lens, and I'm pretty sure the salt water probably wouldn't have been too good for the camera either. But I had Diane's rain cover. I put a link in the show notes to the ones she got me. They're only $7 for a pair on Amazon. It's a good thing I had that link because the cover blew off as I got out of the boat. I immediately replaced these. Speaking of things I lose often, near the beginning of the trip, I explained to one of my new friends that I always lose lens caps on travel. I told her I've trained my friends to listen to the sound of me dropping it when I bump it off as I swing my camera around as I hike and walk. Evidently, this friend was not that alert. I lost a lens cap partway through the trip. I pretty much buy them by the sleeve now. This is the 8th time I have replaced that single lens cap. In 2017, Mike Elgin came on Chit Chat Across the Pond and told us about something called Google Fi, a SIM card he recommended for international travel. I acquired my own Google Fi card and wrote a blog post about it back then, and I've been using it ever since. It is so awesome that I actually loan it out to my friends. My buddy Ron took it and used it in Australia, Dorothy used it in Scotland, and Niraj used it in Morocco. I'm bringing it up because I wanted to give you an update on how it works because it has changed a bit, and perhaps you didn't hear about it 2 years ago. Here's the deal now. You ask Google for one of the SIM cards for free at fi.google.com. or you can buy one for $10 at Best Buy. If you buy one, that $10 goes towards your first bill, so it's the same thing. The first card you get is a voice and data card, but you can get as many additional data-only cards as you want. One big advantage of these extra data cards is that you can share this single data plan with the family. You don't have to acquire a separate card with each separate payment for each person. I said family, but you can share it with anybody, right? You got a group going, you can all share one plan. The Fi service costs $20 per month, and then you pay $10 per gigabyte. Here's what's amazing though. That fee of $20 per month is prorated. So if you only need the service for a week in Bermuda, it's only 1/4 of $20 or $5 for that time. And the data usage is prorated linearly as well. You do not buy it in chunks. For example, if you use 3.2 gigabytes, that's $32. It's very inexpensive and very reasonable the way they arrange it. But here's the huge improvement they made to the plan. Once you hit 6 gigabytes, they don't charge you any more during that billing cycle. They don't even start slowing you down until you hit 15 gigabytes. Now, Steve and I weren't cautious at all with our data usage in Chile, and we sort of forgot to turn off iCloud syncing of our documents and desktops. We took a ton of photos that went whooshing up and down to the internets and back, and Wi-Fi in the hotels wasn't very good, so we used our data plan a lot. Combined, we used 20.5 gigabytes in 12 days. Our total bill was $83.61, including taxes and fees. Now, they made one other improvement and took one thing away. When I originally got the Google Fi cards, you had to buy an Android phone to initialize the card, and it had to be one very specific set of Android phones sold by Google. I bought the cheapest one, a Google Nexus 5X. Once you initialize the cards, though, you could plop them in an iPhone and you were ready to go. Recently, Google announced native support for iOS. This means you don't have to buy an Android phone if you don't want to. The bad news is that when they started official support for iOS, they took away the ability to tether. If you're a sane person, you travel with an iPhone and maybe an iPad, but Steve and I aren't sane. We carry along our laptops too, so tethering is an essential ingredient to our entertainment. I brought the Nexus 5X I bought years ago on the trip, and by a twist of fate, I had accidentally bought the one with the European plug, so it worked great in Chile. It's USB-C, so it's easy to swap out, but it was still nice to have one device that I didn't have to tack onto an adapter. I mentioned that Google slows you down after 15 gigabytes, but to be honest, we have pretty poor connectivity in Chile, so it didn't matter much to us. In other countries like Peru, we had lots of LTE, and Google Fi worked great. When I was double checking my facts on Google Fi for my notes, I realized that they have an affiliate program. If you've been intrigued enough by my praise for Google Fi to check it out for yourself, it would be really swell if you use the affiliate code I put in the show notes. I almost forgot to mention, you can use Google Fi inside your home country as well. I think I might keep it on since I have a SIM slot in my new iPad mini. Fun to have cellular back on the iPad. Oh, good grief. I'm almost halfway done. I'm going to take a little break and read 52 messages. Did I miss anything? Did everybody leave yet? Can't hear you, Steve.
Frank joined us.
Steve, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Not tethering. What's that?
You're not hearing me?
I can.
Okay. So Frank joined us.
I can hear you, but we have a big lag.
Oh. We're back to that problem. So you don't get the direct. So this is going to become a problem now.
Leaving AT&T. So
yeah,
couldn't I listen on Discord and you could mute me on? Oh no, if you kill me on.
If you listen to me on Discord, that would be probably a better way to go.
Well,
I hear you real time, but you're not hearing me in real time.
Can you turn yourself off on Mimo and still be on Mimo?
Oh, you can't mute me on Mimo.
How do you know you're hearing me in real time?
I see your, because I see your.
You see my lips moving?
I see your lips move and your voice is with your lips.
I could actually. Her lips moving. Hang on, let me try this.
The lag has increased to 1 week. We got to get a new.
Wait,
We have to find something else here.
talk to me, Steve.
This is Steve talking to Podfeet.
Okay.
How about
I
that,
can't hear
Lang?
you, so that's good. I'm going to go here and I'm going to change this. Okay, talk to me, Steve.
How about now, Podfeet?
I
Am
can
I
hear
in
you real
sync?
time.
All right. My audio's in sync with the video you see?
Yes,
All right.
as long as I'm not listening in Mimo.
Yeah, just don't listen to Mimo. Not that it matters.
Okay.
You know, these videos, I'm surprised anyone's even watching them. Because they're just
Oh. So I guess, wow, that says it's 5 seconds.
By the way, Troy tried Google Fi out in Florida and it didn't work well for him.
Really?
Yeah.
153 gigabytes for the month, huh?
For
Wow.
him, AT&T worked the best. But he's sharing 9 lines. Oh, 9 lines. Wow.
Oh, holy cow. It just wasn't any better than AT&T. Okay. How long ago was that, Troy? Is AT&T currently knows? Oh, okay. Well, why would it be any better? It's going to use actually it usually uses Sprint or T-Mobile is what it picks up in the US. Oh, is there a third carrier too? I'm hearing audio from February 2019.
I think Google Fi shines in foreign uses, not domestically. I'm not sure.
Well, it's not bad here.
Yeah, but I don't think it would be better than your normal plan.
Mm-mm. And it's Sprint and T-Mobile, so
Right.
you may get worse coverage.
Right.
AT&T and Verizon are probably better.
Right.
All right. Well, one of my lines with Paris was just $10 a day to use your AT&T plan. Yeah, but that's $10 a day, Troy. $10 a day. We were gone for 11 days.
12.
That'd be $110 each. That'd be $220. We paid $86.
And that was 20 gigabytes
for 2 people.
So I think does AT&T throttle if you get over a certain amount?
Well, AT&T is just whatever your regular plan is. So you're paying them $10 a day to use a plan you're already paying them for. That's what they're charging you. So on top of data you're already paying for. So you still use your regular data. Yeah, for shorter trips that might make sense. But my friend Diane used it and used the crap out of it is what I would refer to it as. I did. Tag. Sorry. I'm not recording. The one thing I didn't realize was I think I turned it on too early. So she actually crossed over into a second month. So there was an extra $20 and a new 6 gigabytes. So it actually cost double what we thought. I just didn't tell her because I should have realized that when I did it.
Oops.
I'm a nice person.
What are friends for?
Really? I heard crap. That's my specialty. Roatan for a week a couple months ago, did the AT&T plan, but only had it on for 2 days of the week. I was determined to disconnect. Well, if you want to disconnect, that's a better idea. The other thing is if you're just one person going on a trip, I think the $10 a day thing matters. But, you know, if you go with a family of 4 to Mexico or something, you know, Google Fi makes a lot more sense. Yeah, the T-Mobile single senior plan for $45 is amazing. Frank, if you want to know at least how well it works for Kenny Lee did it. I actually tipped him off to that and he was just like beside himself. So old lady plan. All right, I better keep going.
All right, muting.
I mentioned that Steve and I tote laptops on big trips, and we both have really good excuses for doing that. I write a very lengthy travelogue when we go on our big trips. It's very entertaining. Here's a totally unbiased email I got about it this year. Quote, I cannot tell you how much I have enjoyed your emails about your trip. I've looked forward to each day's adventures. I really have learned a lot from you and have laughed a lot. You have such a great way of making your adventures fun and exciting. Okay, that was from my cousin Anne-Marie, but still, okay, I did get fan mail about it. Anyway, on this trip, I wrote about 10,000 words total, and I insert photos throughout my monologue to entertain people. I don't think I could do as good of a job with an iPad, especially pulling in photos from my big girl camera and editing them. If you're a glutton for punishment, you can download an EPUB version of my travelogue. If you click the link in the show notes, it should open in Apple Books on an iOS or Mac OS device. Not sure what happens on other devices. The book is quite large, 90 megabytes, because of all the embedded photos, so it may take a minute or two for you to see open in iBooks on screen. Steve takes videos on these trips, including using a big boy video camera and a GoPro Hero 5, and he also takes 360 photos using his Ricoh Theta S. It's not practical to edit and move video and photos like the 360 ones using iOS. Even if it was, Steve truly hates using iOS on an iPad. Actually, he hates using iOS. Total. Anyway, when we did the Galapagos Machu Picchu trip, we debated long and hard on whether to take our nearly new MacBook Pro laptops with us, which we really wanted to do. But we finally decided to take our older spares. Steve carried an old MacBook Air, and I carried my 2013 MacBook Pro. We certainly made the right decision. You may remember that Steve's backpack got stolen in the airport in Cusco, Peru, and amongst other electronics, his old MacBook Air was in that bag. Needless to say, we did not take our no longer new, but still pretty young MacBook Pros with us on our trip to Chile either. I used my 2013 MacBook Pro again, which shockingly is still really, really good. I know I'm supposed to hate the new MacBook Pro keyboards, but I don't. I do truly dislike the old spongy keyboards from 2013, though. I feel like, holy cow, you are not muted, dear. Now you're muted. Okay, I can't hear you now. You're muted. And probably Mimo Life. Teen, though. What? Okay. You're not muted now. Okay, where was I? 2013, though. Okay, go. Save. I feel like I'm typing by remote control. It's so unclicky. I also truly, truly hate having dedicated ports. No USB-C back then, so I only had 2 USB-A ports instead of potentially 4, and I had the MagSafe connector that I used to think I loved, but I really hate it now. Every single time I went to plug in power, that darn thing was on the wrong side. I had to drag a cable across my lap. Last Christmas, we gave Kyle a new 13-inch MacBook Pro, and I took back the 2015 12-inch MacBook I'd given him. Steve used that laptop as his device of choice on the trip. It wasn't exactly the video powerhouse he was used to, but I didn't hear a single complaint from him about it. I had given him the choice of carrying the 14-pound 2013 15-inch MacBook Pro, but he went for the lower power but super light version of the MacBook instead. He said, "It was better than an iPad." Well, speaking of iPads, I brought 2 with me. I like to travel light, you know? I brought the 12.9-inch iPad Pro with the awesome Apple keyboard, and I actually used it a lot. I said it was essential that I had my laptop with me so I could write my long letters, but I actually did a fair bit of writing on my big girl iPad. On normal trips, I have a few hours of downtime each day to do my writing. But on this trip, every single spare moment was spent on the bus getting from here to there. If I was going to get the letters out daily, I would have to leverage that time. I wrote my letters in Apple Notes, and it was very, very easy to hand Steve the iPad to check my work and make suggestions. And of course, yes, he did complain about having to work on an iPad, but it was an easy way for us to do it sitting side by side on the bus. Now, I couldn't easily insert photos, so I just made notes of insertion points and finished them up on my Mac when we reached our hotel. When I bought the iPad mini this year, I asked the question of whether it had a place in my life. I have to admit that I'm not using it nearly as much as I said I would during that article. Without a real keyboard, I don't gravitate towards it. It's actually harder to type on than an iPhone. Without a real keyboard, it just, I don't know. I don't like typing on the glass with all my fingers. It's too small. I don't know. In fact, on this trip, I never once took it out of my bag. I even forgot I'd carried it on the trip when I went through security on the last leg of the trip. So that was really swell. Got myself the extra strip search for that one. I loved the entire trip to Chile and especially the tours of telescopes and the astrophysics lectures. But the real star of the show, if you'll forgive the pun, was the total eclipse of the sun. We drove to a town called Vicuña and to a place within the town called Alpha El Deal. It's an astronomical center. All of the university alumni associations were there, each with a dedicated white tent with elegant table settings for our dining pleasure. And each tent had a dedicated standing area for the eclipse. is extraordinarily civilized. I forget if I talked about it on the show or if Bart or Alistair talked about it, but Bart asked Steve to come on Let's Talk Photography to explain how he uses time lapse photography and specifically what he's done in the past with the eclipses we have viewed. It's a great interview. I may be biased, but you can find it at the link in the show notes to let's-talk.ie on episode number 69. I bring that up because Steve uses his big boy camera, video camera, as I mentioned, to capture the eclipse. But watching several hours of video footage doesn't really work to capture how astonishing the sight is. That isn't a good emotional experience. After coming home from the trip, he produced 3 different ways to experience the eclipse. Now, next week, he's going to actually give you details on how he does this and why he does all the different things that he does. And so I don't want to steal too much of his thunder, but I have included in the show notes 3 of his videos. Is it 3 or 2? Yes, 3 of his videos. He's got a 101 minute long video. Don't know why he couldn't get it down to a minute. But anyway, a 101 minute long video of the eclipse itself, where he uses a solar filter on his camera right up until the moment that you see what's called the diamond ring. That's where there's a bright flash of light on one side immediately before totality. At totality, though, you can stare right at the sun without protective eyewear, so he's able to remove the filter on his camera so you can see the ring of light called the solar corona, as well as solar prominences in a few spots along the ring. But watching this video doesn't convey the feeling that we experienced. It's more science interesting. In order to capture the feeling, he pointed his GoPro Hero 5 at the audience. He wanted to truly capture how dark it gets at totality, but left to its own devices, the GoPro will compensate for the lack of light and increase the exposure, ruining the effect. This year, he figured out how to keep the exposure fixed. The camera also Actually, Steve, I'm going to stop here. Should I not tell all this since you're going to be going over this and the show's nice and long?
Yeah, well, how much would you be cutting out? I'm
Just
looking at
the
your
last few
post.
minutes. But I think it's
starting from where to where? Show me in
well,
the text.
I'm going to stop. I'll just ad lib right after Steve uses a big boy camera.
Not a big
I think
girl
I should
camera?
stop because Steve uses a big boy video camera. At totality, though, because
And
this
then
is all
just-
stuff you're going to talk about, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I bring
How
that
long
up
was your
because
recording?
Steve. Don't worry. There's an hour of security bits.
Oh, an hour? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, and I've got 35
Okay.
minutes, so
Yeah, why don't you cut that?
it's a
I might
great
use it.
interview. I may be biased, but you can find it at the link in the show notes to let's-talk.ie on episode number 69.
But don't delete it because I might want to use some of that.
Yeah, no, I won't. I mean, I've already published that, so
Okay.
all right, I'm going to ad lib now.
Oh, sausage.
Hey, this is for you, sweetie.
Well,
Okay.
Frank missed all the beginning sausage, so it's time for him. He needs some.
Mute. Oh, you did use a Logitech keyboard before and you like this better. Yeah, I love the new keyboard. Okay, Steve is muted. I'm going to record. Now, I was going to tell you all about how Steve recorded the Chilean eclipse this year, but he has decided to write a blog post and do a recording for us for next week's show. So I'm going to save that. This will be our little teaser to hear how he makes compelling videos about a Chilean eclipse. It's a little clumsy. All right, that way I can stop talking. Okay. You can talk now, Steve. I can hear your keyboard anyway. All right. Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. So we'll go to.
I mute myself on Mimo, but that's not muting you, right?
Mars Edit, Parallel Toolbox, 1Password, and Backblaze have all just frozen.
On your machine. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your video's still coming through, and I hear your audio, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure I need it. Let me go to Chit Chat Audio. No, Secure Bits Audio. Let me just do that. Let's see rather than. It stopped freezing. Everything else is still wrecked, but okay, let's hear this. Chilean eclipse. The audio isn't there. Oh, no, there it is. It wasn't. Oh, the lights are going off. It's late. Okay, here. 6:15. Hang on. We're almost there. You guys can make it. Nope. Oh, you gonna turn it back on for me? Look how awesome we are. Oh yeah, we got wise bulbs this week too. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Boost Shots. I've missed chatting with you, Bart. You did a great job without me.
Well, thank you, but it's really not the same without you. So I'm really happy to have you back because we have lots of fun stuff to talk about this week.
And he's going to go on. Oh, wait, listen to this because you'll like it with what I just said about how I don't do much of the work. So you always say, but I still think it's like 98.2% you and a little bit left over of me. But I will graciously say you're welcome for the tiny little part I add to this.
No, it's the knowledge may be in there, but I don't get it out half as good without your help.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. I'll take 50% credit. That's a good one.
Anyway, I think you had a good time as well, judging by your missives. It certainly looked like a fun holiday. So, well, it's glad to see that.
Yeah, you definitely
Okay as well. So it was great.
Was Bart
okay?
peeking?
I thought, yeah, nothing I can do.
All right.
Yep.
Okie dokie. As I say, stay patched, stay secure. Talk to you soon.
It's not too bad.
Nah.
It's fine. All right. Okay, here we go. Well, that is going to wind up a very long show for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions. Be like Steve Davidson. Send them in to Allison@podfeet.com. You can add comments and suggestions as well. You can follow me on Twitter @podfeet. You'll find out about announcements about the show and some other glop that I put on Twitter. And as we talked earlier, if you want to become a patron, you can go to podfeet.com/Patreon. You can join our Facebook group at podfeet.com/Facebook. You can join our Slack group at podfeet.com/Slack. And if you'd want to join in the fun of the live show like the audience did tonight for an excessively long show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.
Wow. 6:17. I think a lot of people stayed up past class here.
Yeah, why did you guys stay so late? Well, I guess they missed it all this time. They haven't had a show to listen to, haven't been able to play.
Someone's climbing around back here.
What? You got a cat?
It's Gracie.
Wait, you want more chapter marks?
That's
I'll
right.
save if that's what you mean. Thanks for listening. Stay subscribed. Can you hear NosillaCast fix? Yeah, you get 2 hours of this. Wow, is that a mess though, huh? Oh, and I still have to edit some stuff tonight.
Where's Tesla? She's actually having a fun time with our daughter and son-in-law and Dodger for a month.
Yeah, for a month we don't have her here. It's horrible.
2:16. Hey, you need to get to bed.
Wow, that's dedicated, hey. I like to have flowers in your garden, hey. Those were very pretty. Yeah, it's been tough, but we were going to put her in essentially a kennel. I mean, it's a run-free kennel, but it's like too much stimulation for her. And it was going to cost us like $350. And Lindsay said, well, actually, we thought it up. We said, hey, Lindsay and Nolan, you want to just take her back with you? Because we saw them a couple days before we left. So they took her, but we aren't seeing her until next weekend. So
I'm a little concerned they might not give her back.
Yeah, they really, really like her. So I have to tell you guys.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Tell the story.
Nolan's brother? Actually, it's really sad. Nolan's brother has an unfortunate dog. It's a dachshund who was really adorable for a long time, but then had some sort of hip injury or something, and now has to kind of drag its legs on the ground, and it is incontinent, so it has to wear a diaper, and it's just the saddest thing in the world when you see this poor little dog. And Nolan's brother said to Nolan, "Hey, do you think they would notice if I switched dogs?" He just took Tesla. So anyway.
They're similar, like 5
They're
pounds
both brown.
versus 58 pounds.
Yeah. Okay, so I got to tell you guys a great story. Look at this. This is mostly for Sandy. She'll appreciate this. I needed a hot pad because I got a shingles vaccine and it's actually really painful. My arm's really sore and I didn't have a hot pad because mine broke. So I asked Lindsay for a Pinterest suggestion and she found this thing that said fill a sock with rice and then you put it in the microwave with a bowl of water next to it and the moisture helps it heat up, but it stays like rice. So I used it the first night, totally worked. It was really good. But the second night, I was heating it up and I thought, I wanted a little hotter. And I put it on my arm. And I actually, I don't know if you can see, I burned myself. I didn't realize it. It was like, wow, it's getting really hot. That's really kind of uncomfortable. And I took it off. And then I thought, you know what? This is really hot. Let me massage it like this to get the heat out of it. I woke up this morning and I feel like I burned my thumbprints off. That's when I was like, hey, I wonder how my arm looks. And then looked at my arm and found out it was indeed burned. So I melted my own thumbprints off with it. So
Frank's calling that your psychedelic sausage.
Actually, that does look. Hey, maybe this is going up on the mantle.
Nice one, Frank.
Oh, that is hilarious. That's good. Marcus Welby. Okay, that is funny. All right. Well, it's about 180 degrees in here. I'm going to open the window and I'm going to call it. Good night, hey.
Thanks for
Good night,
hanging
everybody.
in there with us, hey.
I can't believe all of you guys stayed here. Nobody left.